I'm sure virtually every artist gets this question. What got you into art? Like, why did you choose to become an artiste? And I have thought about this question a lot, because I personally can't ever remember making a conscious decision to start doing art, only to improve upon what had already begun. For see, dear viewers, I have lied to you, and worse, to myself. Look, I'm gonna lay this down. I didn't start doing art 12 years ago, which is my usual goal. That was merely when I made the conscious decision that I was going to find a way to expand and improve. Wow! It all started long before then. I think that art fundamentally is something all people are likely born with a level of innate desire to do. I thankfully lived in a household where creative hobbies were encouraged and not downplayed. So for me, it was never hard to just do a little sketching, pick up a pencil, and do the bare minimum, you know, unlike some certain people and groups. You can't prove anything! Though it probably helps I also had a childhood where I grew up with cartoons of a very cool variety. Born in 1988, the vast majority, in fact all of my infanthood, stands 2 years that I can't remember because I was a fucking baby at the time, but my entire infanthood I can remember was the 90s, stacked with dope cartoons and Disney movies that weren't shit, because this was before Disney had its funny meltdown, long before. Hilariously, most of the cartoons that inspired me came out in 2001 and beyond, but let me cook here, okay? What I'm getting to here is that not only did I have good artistic growing conditions, but I also had good animated cartoons and movies to draw inspiration from. Imagine growing up in a time where Disney made banger movies. Almost sounds like a taboo given the today we live in. But we didn't come here to talk about haha Disney's funny downfall to Mickey's ungracious underpants. No, I'm here to weave you a web and tell you the true tale of my artistic journey in a similar format to the Saga of the Starchaser, because yes, this is a series I am making. Probably. I urge you to watch Saga of the Starchaser and the Starchaser Season of Discovery if you haven't already, though only the former of those is really vital for this video to not be a little bit confusing. I know most of you are American. So without further delay, I ask you to join me for the long winding path into the creative bozo of today that I am. And to that end, let's start with the first time I remember drawing, or a few of them, because my brain isn't very good at remembering such things in high detail, and all of these drawings are lost to the fossil record, so you'll have to just humor me here, because this starts about 30 years ago. It's 1994, and my mother is showing me how cool computers are. Yes, Sharina 460, or as you all adoringly call her now, Spotty, is the reason I am now a nerd. She showed me this goofy program called MS Paint. Wow, MS Paint! Or Paintbrush back in those days. Yes, we are talking Windows 3.1. This is when I was 6 years old, so we can already see a sort of pattern emerging. It's difficult to know if I had any idea of what art was, or if I'd even picked up a pencil before being shown the trial handheld mouse, but this was a program I wouldn't touch again until much later. Jump forward to 1996. Wow! I am 8 years old now, because that's how years work, and I have taken to pencil sketching with varying levels of success. Looking back, these drawings would have been very bad, even to the shameful few remnants I still have. These were on a level even worse. But don't worry, because I do not have these esoteric papers. They are likely little more than ash deep inside a landfill somewhere in my hometown, or at my dead grandparents' house to the far, far north. This year, and the next in particular, I recall doing a fair bit of drawing, but what is really worth noting is that I never drew a stick figure. I went straight for full shapes, to which I think the cartoons and movies I watched as a young one are to credit. Because, you know, just drawing from real life, you're like, oh yeah, I can just substitute an arm with a line. Definitely works. Moving on to a good few years later, it is now 1999. I am, yes, 11 years old, thanks math. Wow! This is when I had a bit of a creative streak. It is at about this age I'd become a fair bit better at drawing, and this was also the age I had the wacky notion of making games, as you'll know if you watch the first of these videos, link in the description by the way. So I'd gotten the grasp of basic shapes. This is also the last time I had breaks, quote unquote, from art that were a year long, because at this age I'd also become painfully aware that I loved building cardboard models. I'd seen some of my school friends make tech-rams out of manila cardboard folders with nothing more than sticky tape and thought, that looks fun, and if they can do it, I'm sure I can too. And this interest would become more and more advanced as time went on, making fully blown illustrations, drawing wallpapers and all for these designs. They would become 3D models that would clutter up my grandmother's house, and she'd be like, Remy, you shouldn't be putting these all around the house, it takes up so much space. While she was a hoarder who contributed to 80% of the house already being full. I was very elaborate and unconventional, but they had a magnificent charm, which could only truly be engineered by my own creative mind. This was how I had quite a head start in world building. By the time I came to be remotely known for my work over a decade later, I had already loads of established ideas and an imaginative mindset. Knowing I would eventually have to make the switch to digital art on the computer if I ever did go and make games more than just tabletop RPGs, which was always the plan. In 2003, yes, I'm 15 now and have more or less dropped out of school, because school is fucking garbage. I booted up MS Paint for the first time in almost 20 years. As an experiment to gauge my skill, I drew a render of Killcycle from Unholy War, a very niche PlayStation game that not many people played, which is a bit of a shame because it had some decent merits, and the OST was a banger. I mean, listen to this. This song playing right now, this is from fucking Unholy War. Go look up Unholy War OST on YouTube. Believe me, you won't be disappointed. Probably. It wasn't that great, but I could see I had the potential. My uncle had personally worked on making games, and you already know my dad.
If you've watched the first video of this series,
I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I liked that challenge. So begins the first era of my MS Paint work. For 5 years, I worked with just this bare minimum. Yeah, kind of a pattern here with bare minimum stuff, huh? Doing as much as I could, including weird clip show animations with Windows Movie Maker. I use a funny program my uncle gave me on a funny CD called Just Paint Shop Pro to make them a bit more 3D looking and give them cool effects. But all in all, this was a style that even some of my early public games were still using. The first well-known one being Intelligent. Remember back when Pepperoni just didn't look like this? I don't think many people do. This art style was often criticized, not so much for its own lack of stylization, but in its lack of consistency between the game's other assets.
mostly the runtime package assets, which did not mesh with it well at all.
Which, yes, was a fair point. But assets are obnoxious, and I didn't feel like making something from scratch, so I just made everything hideous. This was before I was aware spite was kind of my life force, but we'll get into that later. I should also mention that the other assets were given full credit, by the way, even covering my bases by asking people to let me know if I'm miscrediting someone that I might have, as I always had this idea that crediting people was super important, and it is. So it's really funny to me when bozos like fucking Celiano or this furry grommet make these half-assed allegations that I'm an art thief or a plagiarist, quote-unquote, when the end credits on my games look like this.
Get wrecked, bitch.
Yeah, little fucking wonder you fell off, Celiano. You made a claim that was completely false, and was so easy to disprove, all I had to do was get some social capital, and suddenly, you decided to shut up on the matter. Wow, haha. I know, it's very easy to allege something when you're pulling from your ass and have the power to silence any opposing conversation with your own pathetically limited and narrow social capital. Get fucked! Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Where was I? Oh yes, my MS Paint stuff that looked like an acid trip had a bizarre collision with the cast from Dante's Inferno, complete with the Jaggies. Well, as far as I saw it, this art style was enough, right? Well, then in about 2011, I'm now 23, yes, quite a skip ahead, I began reading Homestuck. Yes, that Homestuck. Seeing some of these MS Painty animations, it makes me inspired and gives me ideas on how to improve. So this is when the thick lines with colour coding emerged, to not long after be replaced with the lineless MS Paint style I've been using since and still do sometimes today. However, this was not me consciously trying to improve, just adapting to make things easier on myself. 1 pixel black outlines are hideous and awful to work with, never do this. So, it is now late 2012, and I'm among a bunch of good friends after the turmoil I've been faced with on RPG Maker, VXAs.net, and RPG Maker Webs. Remember that? That the thing that I went into briefly in the prior video? Yeah. I am with a Mega Dev, and I've made good friends with Zig and PJCR, as well as others who at the time are all users of Paint Tool SAI. So for those of you who don't know, Paint Tool SAI, or SAI, is a Japanese program that at the time was one of the very affordable options for upcoming artists who didn't want to pay the exorbitant fee for Photoshop, or one of those other programs like Corel Draw, that had their heads way too far up their arse for it being basically the same fucking product. But it is with the help of another thing that the date of me consciously deciding to become good at art actually happens. A catalyst, if you will. Back in these days, DeviantArt was still horrible, but AI art isn't a thing yet, and the scandal with Hot Topic has yet to happen. This beautiful render of my favourite character from Homestuck presents itself, alongside the other elements such as how having my own OCs as well as my friends all being artists who knew some tips and tricks, and you have consciously made me recognise that enough is enough. It's time to stop being mediocre at art and time to up my game. This is when I finally decided consciously to improve my art so one day I could draw something even as close to as captivating as this. I decided I wanted to not only be a game dev, but an artiste as well. This is where the artist's acumen of the Starchaser begins for most, but it's good to understand that this was not a decision made without decades of setup. all the plot elements merging together at last to reveal to me that being able to draw good would be a superpower. Welcome to tonight's presentation. The Starchaser, Artiste, Acumen. Well, looky how the turns have tabled. It is currently 2013. Menagerie is looking pretty fire, and I've had this bizarre notion to upgrade my style, as in my art style, a little bit. However, if we just move forward 1 year into 2014, we arrive upon something else entirely. Well, yes, I did basically perfect my MS Paint blob color style during this time, and it also started my first shy attempts into other programs like, I don't know, Paint.net, probably. That isn't why I wanted to do a bit of a pause here on 2014. Of course, no history video would be complete without a revisit of one of my most famous blunders. Only this time, I feel it's prudent I go into some more detail. It is around June, and I am joking about entering the funny IGMC contest, or Indie Game Maker contest. I realize I just said contest twice, but let's roll with it. So I'm joking about getting into it because it is hosted by RPG Maker Webs, and they don't like me. So I'm like, well, dude, guys, I'm not going to join this. They won't even let me submit anything. Probably. However, moderator Touch Fuzzy at the time, he came in and he's like, no, that's fine, no, you can enter, I don't care. So I'm like, oh no. I'm afraid, my friendos, I now must report that I have developed an idea. An awful idea. A truly wonderfully awful idea. By this point, I'd been in a fair few skirmishes with dipshits over at RPG Maker Webs against my will, just because, I don't know, stealing Skype logs and misreading them disastrously is apparently one of the talents RPG Maker Webs staff boasts. I don't know though. I don't live that life. Anyway. So basically, I'd just gotten rid of Indra, who was snapping at my heels because, I don't know, apparently, she thought I was going to go after an artist, Hero, who I had no interest in going after. I mean, I was investigating them, but realized, nah, they're fine, and just left them be. But apparently, this dumb bitch couldn't read, like, 2 fucking pages down to the logs and discover that that was the decided on course of action. No. Anyway, basically, she was the one who was going to be, playtesting these entries on stream. Oh, this poor woman. I'm, in hindsight, very glad she never had to play the game that I've thrown her way, because it would have been very amusing if she had to play something by me. The person I would discover later she really, disliked for some reason. How on earth did that happen? At this point, I wasn't quite aware of why I felt so strongly about doing this, but in my head at the time, all that was running through there, beyond cornflower, was, well, you can't eat them, at least you can beat them. And I don't mean beat them with, like, words, like I did Indra already. No, I wanted to show them that I could beat them at their own game. As in, making cool games. Which, I don't know why I thought I had to beat them at that. They're actually very fucking bad at it. But look, I thought much more highly of them back in these days than I do now, okay? I also really wanted to show just what me and my collective could do when we put our heads together. Now, here's a great idea, said my fucking piss brain at the time.
We have over a month. Let's just chillax for 14 days now that we've got basic systems down.
And I'm like, you know what? Fine. Since after all, I did live for the Abyss. And wouldn't it be so much more satisfying if I wowed them with a game I threw together in 2 weeks and just slept half a month doing nothing otherwise? Now, fun stuff. Shortly into this work time, which began half a month later, I get an eye infection. And it is bad. In fact, it is so bad, you could swear by near the end of the time I was working on this game, I had a portal to hell crystallizing on my face. So yeah, at the very passive-aggressive musings of my mother, I decided to take a breather. Because, I mean, Jesus, dude. I was quite ill. So I wake back up after I have my breather, and I'm like, okay, sweet, I'm finished, I can go submit it. And it's kind of sad still that this happened. Times are in British, 0 + 00 by the way, despite these being a contest with contestants who are mostly American, or who work around the fact the majority demographic of theirs is mostly American. So, yeah, eat shit, Remy, haha. So I was forced to eat shit. I lost my chance to prove that I was better than them, which wouldn't have fucking worked anyway. I don't know where my head was at the time. But yeah, suffice to say, I missed the deadline. And this you know, because you know that Perseverance did not always used to be called Perseverance for Clearance. And that was a subtitle that came later as the game got much closer to a full release. But anyway, that's a story for another time. What you might not know, however, is that there were some very tactless digs hidden within this game, such as flavor text as well as this. For some context, the Degica building is a representation of Degica, the company that basically bought out these shit-flinging RPG Maker elites that, you know, I'm supposedly enemies with? Probably. So while I had made a functional and a pretty good, I guess, game, it definitely probably would have been delivered in poor taste. Also, compared to what came later, this game was a shit show. A solid shit show, yes, but it was still a shit show. Very much tellable it was a product of 2 weeks. However, the one really good thing about this game is it gave me an opportunity to really improve on my art. So, cool. Next year, finally. Or 2015, yeah. I'm spoon-feeding you the content. I've become a fair bit more prolific. I recently released Menagerie Remastered, which a lot of people very much loved. By this point, I'd more or less started to lean outside of the RPG Maker community because a dying carcass is always going to be dying until it rots and withers into the earth completely. I knew it was unsustainable, even if most of the elites, and by extension the fools who followed, didn't have a big beef with me over something I didn't do. Thanks, whore! So this is where I got really into my thicker outline style. But art isn't quite where I want it yet, and full disclosure, it never fucking is, but we'll get to that later. And also, this was a problem. I was very slow, but thankfully there was a cure. I asked my good friend Darth Mongoose, who, if you weren't sure who that is, you are hearing her voice every time Esperia or Tactelis Mina from my game speak. She's an artist first and an anything else second to last, so I asked her how one might get quicker at drawing the art. And patient though as she is, she indulged me even after I hassled her for a fucking week while trying to make this fucking thing. Her message was very helpful, and I mean no sarcasm there. She said, "Do speed draws or time yourself. Make a piece in a minute or 3 minutes and 12 minutes. Just try to get faster, like that." That's good advice. If she was a fucking loser, she would have said, "Practice makes perfect." And I would have cried. Probably. Thankfully, Darth Mongoose is a very patient and wise god, so I took to her advice with gusto. This might genuinely be the most helpful person in my art journey, and she may not even realize it, so thank you, Kate, from the bottom of my heart. You are the best. Also, spare lines for you to do coming soon. 2016. Well, my YouTube gets a lot busier this year. Not only am I improving with art at a spectacular rate, but I also have begun making the definitive 9 for then version of Intelligence, the 3/14th Clash. And I want to show the world very aggressively. Unfortunately, no one's watching. Anyway, I'd been making it over the past year, and it was approaching March 14th, and guess what? It's ready to release. For the observant among you, you might have noticed that, wait, it still looks like Emma's paint. And yes, look, do you have any idea how long it would have taken me to draw every character in this game to match an art style, which it didn't really have, because it's a puissant convocation of rainbow dog shit? A lot! It would be, the answer is a lot, and truthfully, I was more interested in getting the story and stuff done than worrying about asides like art. It releases and it does okay, probably. I tried to see if GOG will host it, and they said no? Huh? I can't believe I got rejected by good old gaming. That's so fucked up. Oh well, surely Desura will host another game of mine. Oh, it's out of commission now. Fuck. Thankfully, I did have some people run amok with it, but at the end of the day, after the lively scene of Menagerie Remastered had, it didn't feel quite the same. But I was happy with what I had done, so I left it and started working on another big project. Welcome to 2017. This is the year where, my art hardly fucking improved. Why? Oh, you know, making one of the most ambitious games I've ever attempted, finishing off what started as a fuck you into a fuck yes, because I saw potential. I should clarify that even in spite of a viral cough and flu that really tried to knock me down while working on this game, I got it done. Sure, there were quite a few delays, but when I saw multiple people play it who I didn't know or have to ask, it was fucking ecstasy. Delicious. The reason mostly being the game looked like a fucking game. By this point, I am basically doing next to no art in my games. Instead, Z and PJCR are taking the reins on the majority of that, with others like Christopher Like Davids and Donato and Aku covering some other bases that they didn't feel like doing. Perseverance, by all extensions at this stage, looks spectacular. It plays well, and its characters and story are highly enjoyed by everyone. So I bet you're thinking, wow, I bet that crushed your little art heart, didn't it, bitch? Your artist made the game visually successful and you are fucking gay. And yes, I am very gay. But did this crush my spirits at art? No? Who the fuck do you take me for? Fucking Celiana? I was proud. I was glad my two best friends had done such an amazing fucking job. I splayed their names around with pride because it felt amazing to know I had achieved this not on my own, but with my friends. It wasn't just my dumb victory, it was our dumb victory. And we were better for it. Also, this is when we started getting fan art here and there. We just managed to make a very likable and relatable characters. Go us! Wow! It also helped that despite me not having much time, I had definitely improved in my own art over this time, and I experimented a lot more, knowing I had less time and didn't have to worry about keeping a consistent style for game assets. 2018, beware, beware, the triangle. By this point, I had been sitting on the idea of Fantasia for 2 fucking years. But I had a lot of kinks to work out, and also I was busy making PFC or post-frontal clearance, so it fell to the back burner very fast. But now I was free to work on it without hesitation, and during this time, I concepted some new stakes, since death now kinda didn't mean much. Thanks 314's Clash. Wow! I got the first demo done in time for 3/14/2018. Almost. But what really struck me is that even before this demo was released, we'd been getting fan art of the characters. This was good. This has never happened before. This also inspired me to do more art, because now if I drew Funny Bunny Girl, Asana Wukong's chair, or 1990s Goth Girl, it wasn't just going to be me and my close friends enjoying them. For you see, this is the year I was most active in the RPG maker community in a long time. 2019 Driftwood's gaming server, welcome! Like to flex, like tips and tricks? Then come over to Driftwood's gaming server, where we miraculously don't have our heads 16 inches up our ass. And so, this was one of my most social years in the RPG maker community. This was the year I made several amazing, lifelong, probably, friendships, the highlight of them being Nozomu and Phoenix Astra, and also Fuzgono. But Phoenix Astra in particular really liked Fantasia and its characters. She enjoyed this game so much that it made it very easy to work on it. If my game could bring someone this much joy, that she's still drawing fan art for it, then it's a game worth making to the best of my ability. Now obviously I had some encounters in that Discord server, and I also might have called Driftwood a lazy simpleton, which, poor guy had cancer at the time. I didn't know that, but look, I still feel bad. Like, goddamn, yeah, bro, I deserve to be kicked out of that server. I'm so sorry, Drifty. All the best, my dude. I love you. Mwah. So, like most Discord servers I enter, my time there wasn't unlimited. But I made some amazing friends along the way, so big who cares?
Welcome to 2020.
Bitch. Wow, year of COVID. Wow. Unless you were lucky like me, the person who lived in a state managed by a Labour government, who aren't retarded, then you could almost forget COVID exists, because it barely did for us. So yeah, nothing much this year happened. Oh, I mean, you know, outside of releasing the first version of Demo 2 in February? Huh? Why didn't I just leave to 314, huh? But this year was a good one for art. Not only had my style been getting more refined, but I was about to discover the trick to doing things I wanted to do in art.
Try it out.
Yes, these 3 words. Just try it out, idiot. You see, I'd been getting tired of my thicky line style by this point, and so I demanded more from myself. Then my brain had this wonderful idea, for once.
Hey, if we want to do thin lines, why don't we just, I don't know, try drawing with a 1 pixel wide pen and see what happens?
Thank you, brain, I guess. Yeah, that might be worth trying. Huh. Oh my god, my brain wasn't fucking terrible for once? The fuck? This looks sick. I can actually do all that hyper cool detail. Oh my god, it was that easy? It's that easy? Huh? I thought this was just something only like fantastical rich artists with like syntax could do or some shit. So yes, to say I was over the moon is an understatement because by this point I had fully embraced being a weeb. Long gone were the days of me mocking weebs and using anime tropes ironically, no. By this point I was making a game that was basically a big fucking anime. And now I could actually draw in the same style, mostly, that my artist PJCR was drawing in for the game. Holy crap! Pog! Now I won't pretend I didn't have some hiccups with this style. The thinner lines meant it was much easier to misjudge distances between things and make anatomical mistakes. Oh, what's this my funny ass is drawing? Oh, that looks like a turtle. Oh, wait. Right. This is also the year I rebranded myself. Why did I rebrand myself? Well, certainly not to start a new leaf. To this day, I gleefully admit my identity of the past, knowing it'll ruffle some feathers in the Senate. No, you see, this is the year I started hormonal replacement therapy, or HRT for you who don't understand basic fucking acronyms, thank you. And I was sick of being this dipshit because people presumed wrongly that I was a fairy. So why be this guy when I can be this gal? Or this gal? Or this gal? Well, now I will at least give them the right idea, I thought. And so I did. That jumps us to 2021. Wow! So, Thin Lines was a huge breakthrough, and I was able to make drawings with far more heft now, but yet
Somehow I still wasn't sated.
and I don't know what got me thinking this, but I have been doing both soft shading and cel shading for a while now, and my funny brain, yes, a recurring character by the way, had another thought. Hey, what if we made both shading styles into one? I decided to indulge it. It'd get me awake until 3 AM to give me this fucking idea, so what can it hurt now? What if, hear me out, we did cel shading first, then did some overlays with soft shading to make it look even more dramatic and flashy. Fuck, it's actually not a bad idea. I wasn't sleeping now, god damn it. So I rose from my 3 AM cushy mattress and walked over to my computer that was at the opposite end of a house, which is a football field long at this time by the way, to turn on my PC and see how well this would work. It was beautiful. Had I done it? At this point, I could no longer feel validating calling myself an inferior to that which inspired me. I had become its equal. Dare I even say, I may have surpassed it. Possibly, either subjective, whatever. Now, of course, this wasn't perfect, but it shined with so much potential, so much sassafras, so much dramatics. I knew getting better with his style would be my forte. 10 years ago, I had seen the piece which captivated me to reach this point. Only now, it wasn't, I'll surpass that someday. It was now, I've surpassed that.
Blue blooded people of 7 divides, until the qualities of your stars arise. The bleeding white makes a tricky game. The bleeding black surrenders his name. Stars bend can wait until true evolve. The pale pupils see sin fall in love. In a divide between two worlds she has arisen. To take the stars back to birth like Chimp was never.
Do me a big favor and subscribe like right fucking now. Thanks, okay, bye. Like the video.